Imagine being this guy right now. Yup, Young Thug. A generational artist who had the kind of wealth and success a lot of us dream of, but only a few will attain. All of a sudden, you along with 28 members of your YSL crew have been named in a 65-count RICO indictment, which includes murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm, theft, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, and participation in street gang activity. From flying in private jets, wearing designer clothes, driving luxury cars, dating the finest women in the world, to now staring down the barrel of 25 years in prison. The person in charge of your case is this lady, Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis, who is also leading an indictment against this guy, former/45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, who too is being charged with a RICO for conspiracy to defraud the 2020 elections. In retaliation, he has come out and accused the district attorney, Fani Willis, of having an intimate relationship with one of your alleged victims, Donovan Thomas Jr., prior to his demise. At the moment, these accusations haven't been confirmed. Fortunately, you are wealthy and can afford a really good lawyer. Problem is the scale of your indictment. It involves 28 other people who will have to find their own legal counsel since everyone is unable to share the same attorney. Unfortunately, this provides an angle for Fani Willis and her team as they begin to divide the group against one another, offering plea deals and lighter sentences for information and cooperation. And it works. Within a few months, rumblings begin to emerge that members of your YSL group, which are made up of mostly street guys from Atlanta, Georgia, have begun quote-unquote snitching. One of them being your own brother, on Funk. Your suspicions become confirmed when Gunna, who is not only one of your co-defendants, but also a chart-topping artist signed to your label, whom after working with for a few years has been able to acquire superstar status. He is seen being picked up outside of the courthouse by a big-bottomed female. Later on that day, this footage emerges.
Please state after each statement whether or not you agree or acknowledge that the statements are true, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes.
Yup, Gunna, who too is also rich and was able to afford himself a really good lawyer, has taken a plea deal. Your brother and 6 other members of YSL have also taken plea deals and agreed to testify in court if required. Voice notes of a conversation between another YSL member and his girlfriend, convincing him to snitch and come home to his family, surfaces on the internet. You are shaken up by the recent events that has transpired, but aware of the support you still have from the public outside, you muster up strength and continue to fight for your freedom. Your case, however, is full of head-scratching moments. While in court one day, one of your co-defendants is immediately busted trying to pass you drugs while in the courtroom. Luckily for you, you were unaware of this beforehand and are able to avoid extra charges to your already long rap sheet. Your co-defendant, however, wasn't so lucky. To make matters worse, around the same time, your sister passes away. You have been denied your 4th born attempt and won't be able to make the funeral. Poor conditions of the jail you were in have started creeping in and are beginning to have a physical toll on you. Before court one day, you fall so ill you had to be transported to the hospital for medical attention. Once you recover, you will quickly rush back to your jail cell. At this time, a tip comes in from the outside that your artist, Gunna, wants to make a musical comeback. Singh's been out due to the change in his perception from some peers and portions of the public, which all stems from the snitching allegations. He's been able to stay away from the public, but now he's getting ready to drop new music. Soon as you catch wind of this news, you begin to see if you can put something together as well in an attempt to counter what Gunna has planned without openly speaking out against him. You manage to secure features from other A-list artists like Drake, Nicki Minaj, Travis Scott, and begin to plot how to upend the limelight from Gunna's new project. 1 week before you drop your album, your brother and co-defendant, Unfunk, who had been released early and given a 15-year probation sentence instead for taking the Fani Willis plea deal, not up to a year later, is recaptured and sentenced to 9 years in prison for violating the very probation he had earned from the plea deal. Meaning, your own brother could have potentially made your path to freedom harder in exchange for his own freedom that didn't even last a year. Meanwhile, you're facing life behind bars. You proceed to drop your album exactly 1 week after Gunna's. Though yours wasn't bad, it felt like it came and went. Meanwhile, Gunna's, surprisingly, was well received. His songs charted higher and lasted longer on the Billboard charts. It was as if the majority of his fans were oblivious to his snitching allegations. No one really faults you for your album not outperforming his, since you are locked up and can't really record any new material. But other than for financial reasons, a chart-topping Gunna doesn't really help your narrative and kind of goes against the very street culture you've been known to boast and are respected for. The jury selection process is long, but your court appearances continue. Each time, giving photographers in the court the ability to capture and publish your courtroom reactions and current demeanor. That's pretty much the only way your fans get to see you now. One day, you and a fellow co-defendant, R.I.C.O Polo, are scheduled to appear in front of the judge. Keep in mind, this fellow, R.I.C.O Polo, has already been found guilty for an unrelated murder. The shooting was caught on camera, and the police have text messages of him bragging about the murder, and even referencing its precise location to friends. Boy, oh boy, this should be an interesting day in court, and indeed it was. Sitting back watching, you witnessed this unfold.
I'll deal with that accordingly, but your client, I noticed, has been doing the same behavior, and I believe Judge Adams inquired into it as well. So I don't believe that he may be doing just for the purposes of just drawing attention to himself. But of course, sir, as you are well aware, I'm duty-bound to consider whatever it is you want to tell me. But your client's nodded in affirmance. He just has some extra movements that the court is noticing, and he's done that the entirety of this particular proceeding. So you haven't said anything up to this point in time, so I'm going to assume that that's something that you and he are working through.
Yeah, and then on Tuesday, what time are we going to do?
Yup, that's your co-defendant, R.I.C.O Polo, and the most important moment not only of your life, but of his as well, acting as if he's high off a combination of drugs. Wait, maybe this is temporary. He'll probably behave better next time.
Mr. Jimenez, you want to tell your client to get a grip on himself? Good?
It's a show, Judge.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, well, I ain't Judge Glamble, and I don't play, so stop showing out. All right, let's see.
Nope, the same. You and your attorneys are now obliged to have him separated from the rest of the R.I.C.O case. At this rate, all we, who are your supporters, but still hold high regard for the law, believing that everyone should be held accountable and no man is above the law. Sadly, all we can offer now are well wishes and sympathy. One cannot help but wonder what it is you may be experiencing mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, while at the same time trying to imagine how it all went wrong for our thugger.